When the cold, wet winter months hit the trails, one thing that's super important to do is to swap out your rubber for something a little bit more suitable for winter. Yep, you can get by on those dry weather tyres, but you're going to be missing out massively if you don't swap them out for something a little bit more suitable for riding in the slop. So what exactly is a wet weather winter tyre? Well, it's a tyre that's designed to be ridden in the worst conditions possible. And its primary job is to supply you with a lot of grip. It's also designed to shed mud easily and have big lugs that are really going to bite into the trail to either slow you down or provide traction when the going gets slippy. Now the trade-off with this tyre is that it's got a high rolling resistance due to that aggressive tread pattern, and of course the amount of rubber that is in this tyre means it is pretty heavy, and of course more weight means less range. Now the first question you need to ask yourself is, do you really need a full-on mud tyre? Or could you get away with something maybe a little less aggressive and a softer compound and a fresh edge over that full-on mud tyre? Now this is definitely going to be applicable if you're riding a surface trail centre versus that off-piste natural terrain. Trail centres are often surface trails. They have very good drainage and very little mud and are designed to be ridden all year round. You will of course have rocks and roots, particularly on those harder graded trails, meaning a decent aggressive tyre with soft compound would be ideal here. Look for dual compound or triple compound for the best all-round grip and range. Mud tyres aren't needed at most of trail centres due to that lack of actual mud, as most of them will be surfaced. Now, if you're into riding natural or off-piste trails, then there's going to be a variety of different surfaces on the trails that you're going to ride, and probably a lot of mud. Now, this is when a mud tyre really comes into its own, particularly on the rear of that bike. It's going to provide a load of traction when it comes to driving that bike uphill. And if you're into riding lots and lots of mud, then I suggest a pair of mud tyres, front and rear on your bike, is going to be the ultimate combination for the best grip. Then there's of course bike parks. Now this really depends on the bike park that you're riding. If it's a surface bike park, then a mud tyre is definitely going to be a waste of time. All it's going to do is roll really slowly and hinder you when it comes to speed for clearing those jumps. However, if it's a more natural style of bike park, like the downhill style ones, where that terrain can get pretty wild and slippery and very muddy, then yes, a mud tyre is definitely going to help you out massively. So what is the biggest difference between a winter tyre and a summer tyre? Well, the biggest differences are going to be in that tread pattern, the compound, and of course the weight. Now the tread on a winter tyre is going to be really aggressive and designed to really bite into that mud. You're going to have these tall, aggressive knobs that have really big space in between to clear that mud away when the tyre is rolling. Also, the compound is going to be designed to find the best grip available at all times, but because of that increased rubber, you've of course got a lot of weight in this tyre. To tread on a summer tyre, well, this is going to be a lot less aggressive. This is to allow it to roll as fast as possible and have that least rolling resistance. Of course, less rubber means it's going to be a lot more lightweight, and that compound, well, it's going to be a lot harder in the middle of the tyre. You can often get dual compound tyres or soft compound tyres for racing, but usually a harder compound in the middle on the contact patch, again, is going to cut down on that rolling resistance. So why would you swap out to those winter tyres? Well, your tyres play a massive part in the control, confidence and the comfort you can have on those winter rides, and can enhance it in many different ways. A decent rear winter mud tyre will see you climb every hill on the trail without losing traction. Big knobs with a good edge will really propel the bike forward when the mud is at its worst. Descending, bringing an e-bike down from high speed is a hard enough job in the dry, let alone in the wet. A decent mud tyre will see the bike digging into the surface when you hit the anchors rather than skidding along and breaking traction. Cornering. Changing direction in the slop can be really tricky, particularly if you have a tyre that sits on top of the mud rather than biting into it. A winter tyre will see you penetrate the mud and corner as if it was nearly dry. So can you run your stock tyres all year round on your e-mountain bike? Well, yes, you definitely can, but as to how capable they will be in the mud will really depend as to how aggressive they are. And you're really going to be missing out as to how capable your bike is when that mud really gets bad. So I really suggest fitting a set of winter tyres to that bike. It's going to increase the performance of that bike massively. You're going to have a load of traction up the hill and you're going to have massive confidence when it comes to descending too. So let's take a look at some winter tyres that are suitable for your e-mountain bike. Now this is a Schwalbe Eddy Current and it is a perfect winter tyre, particularly if you're riding more of that surface kind of trails like bike parks and not riding around in natural trails where you've got a lot of that gloopy, really soft mud. Now this has a really nice soft compound, it has big spacing in between the knobs to really clear that mud, and to top it off it's got a punch-proof casing which makes it bang on for e-bike use. So this is the Maxxis Shorty and it is one of Steve Jones's favourite winter tyres, and for very good reason too. It has really aggressive side knobs on this tyre which are really going to bite in on those climbs and descents, and in the middle it's still got that nice tall spikes that are really going to drive that bike up the hill. Now this is available in a load of different compounds, different casings, and you can really find that right tyre for you which is going to work in those winter months. This is the Dirty Dan tyre and it is designed to be ridden in the worst conditions you're ever going to ride your bike in. It is a true mud tyre. Now looking at the tyre, it is super aggressive. You've got tall knobs on there with massive spaces in between to really clear that mud and bite into it. And of course it is a very soft compound. Now this is all a recipe for range disaster, meaning it's really going to eat into that battery range if you're not riding this tyre in the right conditions. And it can become a little bit unpredictable on those harder surfaces. When you hit a rock or a root, it can squirm quite badly. But this tyre is also really good for riding in the snow too. It's going to drive that bike along amazingly as it does in mud. Wide range of sizes and compounds available in this tyre. It is the ultimate for turning those wet trails into pretty much dry conditions, meaning you can rail every turn with confidence and comfort and control. So switching out those tyres to something a little bit more suitable for winter is going to make a massive difference as to how confident you're going to feel out there on the trails, and as to how capable your bike is in those winter conditions too. Get involved in the comments box down below about what your favourite winter tyre is. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you subscribe to us here on EMBN, and whilst you're there, check out the merch shop for all the new jerseys.